Hi, Space Watchers, and welcome back to the GEOINT Symposium here from St. Louis, Missouri. Today we have the privilege of speaking with Chris Anthony, and he is the board member of the Earth-Fire Alliance. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for making time with us. So we heard your panel yesterday, and we're quite taken with your remarks, and we just wanted to get to know you a little better.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit about your bridge from working with CAL FIRE in California and now working with the board?
Absolutely. So my career was with the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, which is also known as CAL FIRE. And CAL FIRE is the state's fire and forestry department. About 12,000 women and men throughout the entire state that respond to wildfires and all hazard emergencies. And we've really seen a dramatic shift in the way that wildfires are burning throughout California just over the last 10 years. We've had many of our most destructive, our largest, and our most deadly fires just within the last 8 years. One of the key components that really has been missing from the work that we do is bringing innovation and technology into wildfire response. And now we're seeing many innovators, companies coming in and bringing solutions that we've, quite frankly, just haven't seen before. While I was working with CAL FIRE, in my last role as the Chief Deputy Director of the department, we were presented with this new initiative, which was called Firesat.
Okay.
And essentially, it was an initiative that would bring low Earth orbit satellite technology to the work that we were doing every day in the field. And although it was a global system that was being stood up, I really thought it was important that California be one of the early adopters of this new technology, because I believe that CAL FIRE had the capabilities to really be able to inform what Firesat was going to look like in the future. And thankfully, we were able to get an MOU executed with, at the time, the Environmental Defense Fund and now the Earth-Fire Alliance to really begin to work really closely with the Earth-Fire Alliance team on standing up this program. And so right now, this project is philanthropic funded. We have the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, Google.org, the Mindaru Foundation was an early funder, and then some other anonymous funders as well. And so right now we're in the process of really trying to inform what the future of this program is going to look like. And I certainly had no expectation that following my career with CAL FIRE that I would still be involved in working on this program. But I'm so thankful that I am, because I really think that not only will it be game-changing for the California Fire Service across local and state entities, but it's also going to have a huge impact globally on the work that we're doing with fire agencies across the globe, because it's not just California that's dealing with the wildfire problem right now. It's a global issue that we're dealing with, and the data and the information that's going to come from Firesat is really going to inform our response strategies in ways that we've never had before.
Well, and I'll say this, I actually had a team, that's why I was interested in talking with you, that was responding to the California fires this last 2 or 3 months. And it was interesting to see how data was being used. And I know you have a team in Australia, correct? There's probably
we work very closely. So CAL FIRE has an international program that works very closely across many different countries, including Australia.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to pioneering something that can be useful across the planet, and it's actually extremely important for teams that are not just responding in a national level, domestically, but you're right, the endemic nature of wildfires is really showcasing how we need to use data, how it needs to be computed, and where do you see how maybe the listeners today might access working with the Fire Earth Alliance and actually leveraging the resources that they have?
So it's a great question. So I think right now where we are at with Earth-Fire Alliance is really working with different funders on ensuring that we have just the funding that we need to continue to move the program forward. So we did launch the first prototype on March 14th out of Vandenberg on a SpaceX transporter, which was really exciting. We will be launching 3 more satellites in June of 2026.
Okay.
And so we'll get to that kind of initial operating capability of the system. The goal is to go to full operational capability by the end of 2029 with over 50 low Earth orbit satellites that will give a revisit rate on every fire globally of under 20 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
And as part of the early adopter network, and back to your question, we're working very closely with fire agencies across the globe, like CAL FIRE. We're working with fire agencies in the United States, in Australia, in South America, in Europe, and really trying to get the input that we need and the feedback. Because what I really appreciate about the approach that both Earthfire Alliance and Miwon Space have taken is really gaining insights and input from the end users that are going to be using this data. And that also includes the science community and the research community, so that what's being designed is actually going to be useful.
Thank you.
And that is so critical to engage the end users early, which again was one of the reasons why I wanted California to be one of those early adopters, was to really help inform what this system is going to look like. But it's not California, like California can't do it by themselves, right? That's why we really need to take a global approach. The same challenges that we're having in California and the Western United States and even nationally are the same challenges that we're seeing in Canada, in Chile, in Portugal, in Greece, in Australia. I mean, wildfire is becoming really this global challenge that we're all really trying to address and deal with. And the technologies that are being developed, whether they're being developed right in California or in other parts of the world, are applicable regardless of where you live or the type of wildfire that you're fighting.
That's right.
And certainly some jurisdictions have more operational capability on the front end to be able to use this data. But that's also another thing that Earthfire Alliance is working on, is trying to understand what those needs are so that we can meet those needs regardless of what agency or organization we're working with.
And I think we heard from you and Brian Collins yesterday the key words of prevention, mitigation, and not just response, but that means it's going to be helping first responders, right? It'll be in the hands of firefighters and the community, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So, and on the mitigation and prevention side, so even though we have this will be incredibly informative to our ability to detect small fires globally, which then informs the type of response that we need to have. But something that I think gets forgotten with wildfire is many of the fires that are burning in these ecosystems, they're burning in ecosystems that are actually fire adapted.
Oh, okay.
But because we put fire out in those ecosystems for such a long time, that's one of the reasons why we're seeing fires burning at intensities and severities that are much, much higher than they should be.
Okay.
But there are conditions that those fires will ignite in where you could actually let them burn at a very, very low severity and actually help restore those ecosystems and also reduce the risk to the communities near where those fires are burning. Mm-hmm. Right now, we just don't have the tools in our toolbox to make those decisions very early, which is why generally we just move straight to a suppression strategy. But if we know what the intensity of that fire is immediately upon ignition, and we can combine data sets such as fuels and weather and topography, soil moistures, fuel moistures, then we're able to understand what that fire is going to do immediately upon ignition, which then really informs a different response strategy, which allows us to actually mitigate risk and prevent destructive fires in the future from happening in those ecosystems. Because if we put those fires out when they actually could be beneficial versus destructive, we actually just increase the risk over time.
Well, I'm excited to see what other uses there are and use cases and applicability, so I thank you so much for that. But a question about you. What are you doing now? I mean, you're on the board for the Earthfire Alliance. What else are you working on?
Great question. So So coming out of CAL FIRE, I knew that I still wanted to try to contribute to achieving a resilient future. And there was really 4 things that I was focused on. 1 was returning good fire to our fire-adapted ecosystems. 2 was looking at ways that we can reduce risk within our communities. 3 is the policy and legislative framework that it takes to actually move things forward. And then lastly was connecting innovation and technology to the fire service and wildfire community. And so right now I work across a couple different kind of verticals. So I do work with the University of California, San Diego. I'm a senior fellow in what's called the Prowess Center, which is Proactive Wildfire and Environmental Sustainability Solutions. And then I also do work with the Climate and Wildfire Institute, which is a nonprofit organization through the generous funding of the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation. And then I'm also doing some work with what I believe are really top-tier fire technology companies that are coming into the space and looking to connect with the wildfire community and the fire service. And so that includes Rain, based in Alameda County, California, Burnbot, which is in South San Francisco, California, and then another company called Firesat, which is in Marin County, California. And then lastly, I'm also doing some work with an insurance company that's really looking at how they can bring insurance back into high wildfire risk communities that mitigation work has been done. And that's the name of that company is Rock Rose Risk. And then I sit on the boards of Earth Fire Alliance and the California Fire Safe Council as well.
So you're just a little busy.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much, one, for all your continued service to community. I mean, what first responders do is really heroic, and it's necessary and relevant. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for taking time with us today.
Thank you so much, Yvette. I really appreciate it.
And with that, SpaceWatch out.